Hello, hello. Welcome back to Two Kims.
One Pod.
I'm your host, Peter Kim, and that's
G Kim.
my top was Christmas in LA. I really didn't think it was going to be that nice or cool because no one's around. All my immediate friends left, and my brother was gonna go hang out with someone else. So it felt like it was just gonna be nobody. But Eric and I ended up getting invited to a Christmas Eve thing by some friends, and then a Christmas Day brunch, and then Willy Wonka thing. So it was really cool. And then yesterday we had a little raclette at the house, which is a tradition from Eric's family. It's like cheese and different things that you cook on it's almost like KBBQ a little bit, but you have these little slider things that you cook under a heated plate, and it was cool. We had my brother over, our friend Mike over, and it was just like a cute little tradition that we made into more of an Asian thing. We had kimchi and different pickles and Asian sauces, like Chinese chili oils and stuff like that. It's usually a Swiss thing, so it's very mustard heavy, potato heavy, meat heavy, but we lightened it up. So that was the top for this week.
The process is called raclette because it's, from my experience, it is a part of après-ski culture. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm familiar. Also, it's
of course. When I think of Unji Kim, I think après-ski
culture.
The Swiss Alps, yes.
And so I got really into it because I was just it's just a part of white culture that, and yeah, my impression and my understanding of it is that it is actually a big round of cheese that is melted slowly, and then you slice, you kind of slide the cheese off of it onto bread.
That's the raclette cheese. That's the actual raclette cheese that they melt onto and slide onto things. So that's what the original is. At home, when you do it, you buy raclette cheese and then you melt it on these little things and you melt it over your bread or your potatoes or your bread.
Okay, so it's like fondue reverse. You're dripping the cheese on. You're not dipping
things.
Yeah, you're not dipping the thing into cheese.
That's correct.
Yeah, they just call it a reverse fondue.
I think they tried it. It didn't test well.
So that was your top. That sounds very quaint. That sounds very quaint and beautiful.
It's very quaint. And LA Christmas is usually, I get a little depressed because no one's around and it just quintessentially doesn't feel like Christmas. No, it's not cold. There's no there's not a lot of Christmassy things, Kris Kringle Mart type of things.
Sure, yeah.
You just it evokes cold and winter season, winter solstice time, and it just doesn't feel like that here. But it was really nice there's a lot of Chicago people left, a lot of people who didn't want to go home to their, I guess, shitty families. So that was a good way to spend it. My bottom of the week is also Christmas related. I called my mom a couple of days before Christmas because I knew I would either forget or whatever. So I was let me check in because I hadn't heard from her all December since she left Thanksgiving, right? So I was all right, let me check in on her because we've texted here and there, but I haven't talked to her. And I'm something seems like it's up. Maybe she's sick, or because usually when she's sick, she goes off the the airwaves.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She goes non-communicative.
Radio silent.
So yeah. And she's I didn't want to wear you, that kind of nonsense, right? So I call her. She picks up and she's huffing. No, your mom is...
She's letting me know.
Attached.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's calling me coughing.
She wants you to be responsible.
Yeah. She arrive at my house and refuse to come inside, but wearing a full mask. And yeah.
If my mom lived near me, she would act exactly the same, I think.
So fucking toxic. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom is huffing and puffing. And I'm where are you going? What's going on? You have a bum foot. She's supposed to have foot surgery, but she's afraid to go under because she feels like she won't wake back up.
I mean,
I
agree.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You're in your 60s. It happens. And I'm like, all right, well, you have a bum foot. Where are you going? She's like, I'm running to my next job. And I'm like, what do you mean next? I thought you got fired from that department store. And she says, yeah, I got fired, but I had to get another job. So I'm working at a doctor's office as just like an assistant, doing like files and stuff or whatever, computer stuff. And she's running to her next job, which is handmade mandu maker. And she makes $4 per bag of mandu, which contains 27 pieces of mandu.
What is
And
that?
I was like,
hourly
what?
rate?
$4. It
She
takes
do-
one bag in an hour. That's
Why
how
is she
fast
be-
her.
Why is she?
Her
being
hands are
duped?
moving.
Why is she being duped in this way?
Let me tell you, this is
Yeah.
why it's my bottom. So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then she tries to give me this. She goes, oh, it's not even for money. Like, I do it for meditation. And I'm like, bitch, when did you start meditating?
Mandu
When?
meditation? I don't think so. Mandu meditation? Girl.
Title
Girl.
of that, Mandu Meditations. I'm like, Harmony, please. I'm like, when have you ever decided to hold your thoughts inside and look inward? This has never happened to you before. And so I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah.
And she goes,
Mandu meditation.
no, it's like when mandu when I'm like making mandu with my hands, I don't think bad thoughts. And I'm like, what do you mean?
do
Bad
you think?
thoughts?
Yeah,
what are
do
you
you mean?
talking
Yeah.
about? You've gone 66 years not meditating ever and saying every bad thought you had in your mind out loud.
Having
Like,
so many
wha-
bad thoughts.
Yeah, and never keeping them to yourself. Like, what the fuck are you saying? And then she finally tells me, okay, fine. I got kicked out. So it turns out her older sister, 1 year older, was screaming at her about some nonsense. By the way, she has told me that she is not allowed to bring people over. She's not allowed to drink in front of her.
Yeah.
She's not allowed to like watch anything. She's not allowed to have certain foods in the fridge. Like, she lives in like communist North Korea. You know what I mean? She's like in she's in overhead, basically. She's like, there's no way I could live with this woman. She's been telling me this for a year. So I'm like, okay. And she goes, well, I finally stood up to her and she said, get the fuck out. And now I have to leave. And I was like, no, you don't. What do you mean? Why? And she was like, 자존심 상해서. Her pride is hurt. So she's like, she said, well, you know what? You want me to leave? Then fuck you. I'm leaving. And I'm like, you have nowhere to go.
You
she was like, well,
can't afford to have this much pride. You don't have
making $4 an hour. Making my
you don't have enough pride in the bank. You can't write a check for this much pride.
No one's giving you a loan of pride loan.
Nobody.
Okay? I don't know where you're getting you're overflowing.
Your credit score is horrible.
0. It's negative. You have negative pride. You should, at least. But she has too much pride because this is, again, toxic Korean family shit. So she's like, fuck you, I'm leaving. And her sister's like, where are you going to go? And she's like, watch me. So this was a week ago. She found 2 jobs now, and she's running from job to job, making cash because she has to move out to this studio apartment that her friend's daughter is subleasing until May. And I was like, okay, so what's going to happen after May? And she was like, I'll have to move again. And I'm like, mother, you're pushing 70.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just go apologize.
Yes.
And she was like, I will never apologize. I'd rather die and live in the street than apologize. And I was like, oh God. How do I deal with I'm in my 40s. I can't. She's burned every fucking. Remember we talked about this during our live show in Chicago?
Yeah.
She has no bridges left. There's nobody else to go to. And she was like, oh, well, it's going to be a sad Christmas for her. And I was like, it's a sad Christmas for you.
For you.
You have no home. You have no home. You have nowhere to live. You're homeless.
No, okay, so this is crazy. The level of pride that is being, pride checks that are being written out, it's crazy. So literally, I just had this conversation with my father. He doesn't want to go to Korea. I'm like, we'll pay for you. He doesn't want to do it. And I don't understand why.
Wait, set it up for him. Why do you want him to go to Korea?
Because he's about, like, they're old. Like, 70도 됐는데, like, you know, 한 번 더, like, you know, like, just go back one time. He's got family there. My mom hasn't seen, you know what I mean? Like, he's been here for so long. He's got family there. He has a very big extended in-law family as well. It's not like nobody is there. There's a lot of people there. And he doesn't want to go. It's like, I don't know. It's the same reason why he doesn't speak to his sister. Just cut.
Which is what?
자존심. Like, literally, like, something happened where my mom doesn't even know.
It's a fight. They're fighting.
They're fighting. No, something happened.
Oh, okay.
He snapped.
That makes sense.
But it's like,
that makes sense. But it makes sense. He's Korean and he's old. There's no way to come back from ego death. Like, not ego death, but like the like fragility of a Korean man's ego.
But a small slight? A small slight?
That's what our culture is based on. That's what our culture is based on. The tiniest slights, and we're holding it on. It's so toxic. And they would rather be alone than ever deal with that.
That's what I mean.
It's so nuts.
Crazy. It's crazy. Like, sometimes you just have to
nuts.
swallow. This is how I literally looked at my father and I was like, this is how you exist in a family. I was like, if I like opposite, like whatever, like I looked at him, I was like, I would never have spoken to you again. We wouldn't exist. You wouldn't.
Exactly.
I'm like, I am saving my pride. I'm stacking it up in the bank so that when I have enough, I can really cash the check that I want. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And it's
compound
gonna be
credit.
That's right. That check will not bounce, and I can walk out head held high.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're not operating in the same banking system we are. They have so much pride that they'll never run out.
They're NFT. This is crypto pride. Like, it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, so she's willing to be homeless, and I'm sitting here going, well, I can't fix this. I don't know how to approach solving this. I have no means.
She also contributed to her own downfall. She spent that money.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's nobody else's fault but hers.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I not feel guilt? How do I not feel absolute shame for not 모셔ing my mom? Like, taking care of her.
You're feeling guilt?
Wouldn't you?
No.
Oh. Well, I do. A lot of it.
No.
This is like how I'm wired. I can't not. I'm trying to get rid of the tethers of that familial shame. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can do to not feel shitty about the fact that I can't provide for my single old mom. Like, I don't know how to divorce my own, like, my part in it. As the oldest son of a single mother who was abused and gave everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy to be like, okay, figure it out. I wish I can. I wish I could be more like you and be like, all right, I don't have to talk to you. But I bet you can't either. It's just that you have to be around your parents. I don't. That's why you think you could 냉정하게 cold cut them off.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't do it. You're the only child.
But
that's even worse.
That's even worse. But I do not have.
But at least they have each other. They're not alone.
Yes, exactly.
If you had a parent alone,
but Peter,
there's no way.
There's also, I will say,
they would live in your home.
Okay, so one, there is a different weight to it with you being the eldest son. 100% acknowledge that the Korean sort of like
similar to only child.
Yes, but like
it's the same burden.
It is the same burden, but like there's something like that is built in that's different from me as a kid. Like I feel it as an adult, just as acutely.
Yeah, there's like a gendered
Yes.
expectation.
Absolutely, and it is heavy upon your dainty crown. But like you're it's the crown is heavy. I understand, like the
It's
burden.
very heavy.
Yeah. But
I've been working my whole adult life trying to get rid of this burden.
And the thing is, I understand that it's just the gendered part of it. And when I say that I would cut them off, I'm talking about very specifically this instance. That like, it's not like I'm trying to teach her a lesson, or it would be like me trying to teach my mom to be better with your finances or anything. This is a point at which you have to. I think I would look at my parents and be like, I can't parent you anymore. Like,
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah. Like, that's just
I
like
just
one of
don't think. Like, it's like saying like you. I don't know how to equate this because I don't have a child, but I imagine it's like telling your child you're cut off.
And that's sometimes the best
I mean?
way to do it. That's why I'm saying I can't parent you. Like, this is not like I am your child, but also the kindest thing I can do is to actually cut you off. Because let me tell you, do you think that because the best lesson is often learned on their own, right? Like, I'm
not convinced there's a lesson to be learned. This is a burden for her, the rest of her life.
You don't think she's going to eat her pride after working like this for a couple of months and go back and apologize?
100% she will not. Why do you think she's in Hawaii? She moved across the country out of the contiguous states, away from everyone she knew and loved. Why do you think someone does that? Because they evolve? No, it's because they have never changed and have burnt every fucking bridge in their life.
그럼 뭐 할 거야? Like, what are you going to do? 돈 줘야 되잖아, 그럼.
Yeah, that's all there's left. And this is a taxation of me being who I am.
Sure.
Unless she is being taken care of either by my younger brother or a new husband, there's nothing I can't live with myself if I don't take care of her. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it is my burden, and now I can't, like, I'm realizing at in my 40s, this is just part of my life. I will never be rid of this.
Yeah. Did you
it's
think
like
that
herpes.
You would be?
You're just getting flare-ups.
Yeah. But you thought
I was hoping. That's why I did therapy. That's why I'm doing drugs.
There's no cure for herpes.
All I need is for her to marry someone rich and get the fuck out of my life. That is what I'm hoping and praying for. Is that she marries someone and they get old and die together. That would be my dream. That's my 100% 2024 dream, is for my mom to meet some rich guy on vacation in Honolulu and then him fall head over heels over her and marry her and devote his entire riches to her name. That is my wish.
I would start saving. I would start saving. I would start diverting some funds into a different trust type situation.
Yeah, I gotta stop buying so much weed.
Yeah, pre-tax, gotta figure out something.
A 401k.
401k, just kind of
figure
out.
The good news is my mom is not that young. So it'll go fast. A blink. You know what I mean?
That is so fucking
This is
dark.
the silver lining.
It's so fucking dark. Okay, so on that fucking note.
What's your top? Yeah, what was your top?
Okay, so my top is okay, also, yes, holidays was very good. The audio on this is going to sound crazy, by the way. I'm so sorry, listeners and viewers. But Christmas was good. Something quiet, whatever. We did Christmas Eve with a Muslim family that we know. That's kind of a tradition that we do. That's
cool. What did you guys do? Just have dinner and
I did like
Christmas?
a dumpling charcuterie.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, it was like like very small,
Fun.
like different pot stickers, pierogi, like big mandu,
Well,
and
halal meat.
I mean, yeah, sure, and like
they're not halal.
they are, but it's fine, it's loose, and then
Okay.
egg rolls and crab rangoons, and it was like all this thing and sushi.
Fun.
Yeah. But so my top is this week. Okay, so this is kind of like goes back to Rogers Park days. So I don't know if you remember, you were here, Peter. Maybe you were just arrived because this is 2008 and 9 in Chicago. Were you in Chicago yet?
Okay. No.
Okay, so during that era, 2008 and 2009, this was like the beginning of the YouTube rap beefs that were happening. So like YouTube rappers would like have beef, and then someone else would have like a YouTube video in response to that, and it was like real beef.
Diss tracks.
Yes, diss tracks, and it was like it's like Young Keef is from this. No, Chief Keef is from this era of like rappers, and the scene in Chicago. It was like very the beefs were real. And I was living in Rogers Park, and during that summer, there were multiple assassination attempts on this specific rapper. And like it was a drive-by at the McDonald's down the street, and there was also a
Was he working at the McDonald's?
no, he was just he was there.
He was just there.
Yeah, I mean, it was an assassin. It was
God.
like a drive-by. Like this was an assassination. Like they were trying to shoot him down in the street. They also planted
JFK
a car. Yes, except reverse, kind of like the Reclet. With the fun. It's a reverse because he was okay.
Reverse JFK.
Reverse JFK, and so he also had a bomb planted in his car.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like real assassination attempts. And this obviously made the news, and that's why I looked him up, because of this. That's crazy for a car to be exploded. And we looked up his YouTube raps, and Max and I are looking at his YouTube video, and we're like, this apartment looks really familiar, and we're realizing, like, we can see out his window. He lives in the unit above ours, because the unit is the same. If anything, his is nicer. Like his crown molding is newer, the paint is newer. He's in it's like the same layout. And this video specifically had gotten a lot of play because a kind of a famous director was brought on, because these guys have a ton of money, cash, and he arrives. So the white guy, he arrives, and he's like, all these guys have like guns, and they're in this tiny apartment, and he's like, I'm out. And then like the other guy, the AD, was like, I'll do it. So it's crazy. So that summer, like this guy, it's the same era from I Ain't Got No Phone.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so last night I was hanging out post show. Stand-up comedy, the show this week, like shows before the holidays, after, it's all kind of like a weird mush, and it was a good show. And I'm hanging out with one of the comics after the show, and he tells me that his baby mama, okay, the mother of his child, if it's his daughter, her cousin was the guy that tried to assassinate the rapper.
Oh my God.
What a small world. You know what I mean? Like,
whoa.
Isn't that crazy? What
That's
a small
okay.
world.
And you told them that you live downstairs from them?
Yes.
Oh my
Isn't that
God. That's
crazy?
so crazy. Full circle.
Like, it was one of those moments where, like, one, what a small world. Two, it made me feel like maybe I should get out of Chicago. Like, if these like loose ties and like a happenstance conversation can bring all these like you know what I mean? Like, maybe I've made all the web I can make in Chicago. I may be done.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have done enough work now that you're 1 degree off from attempted murder.
I may need to get out of Chicago.
You might need to go. You might need to go to the suburbs. Niles is calling.
That's like maybe
crazy.
a little too soon. Is that crazy? And the thing is,
Crazy.
like, I'm someone that really deeply enjoys like that sort of like completion of things, like that full circle. It really did something for like the narrative mind, like the full circle of everything. Whew,
This is a version of inyeon, which is something we will be talking about in just a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Yes. So this is really calling forward
It's crazy.
the next part of our podcast.
My bottom is so I took this test to like determine whether or not I have ADHD. I got my results back. Severely.
Severely got it back.
Yes.
You mean
severely?
they threw it at
ADHD.
you?
Yes, severely.
Oh, you have severe ADHD.
Yes, ADHD.
Okay.
So
what does severe mean? Like needs to be restrained?
Okay, so it's like part of it is like it's like a long test. It's like 5 hours or something. And part of it is like an IQ test and about attention and all these things, and they like monitor you. And Peter, when the person who had given me the test, who had administered the test, was talking, he like kind of took a pause and was like, so with regard to your attention span, okay, my IQ was almost special needs.
Because you couldn't finish the questions in time?
I like can't even.
Or you got everything wrong?
I got a lot of stuff. It was 80
You have an 80 IQ?
on that specific thing.
This makes so much sense.
No,
I have been wondering why it's been so hard to do this podcast with you. I'm dealing with special needs.
No, it's 80. Okay,
No, I'm kidding.
no, it's crazy. So it's 80, and then the spread between my inattention, like IQ, between my verbal, the spread is like over 40 points.
I don't understand what that means.
That means it goes from 80 to the verbal score is like
120?
Yes, plus, right? Like over 40 points between my attention and verbal IQ.
Oh, there's a different type of IQ. I didn't realize that.
Yes. They're like testing like different parts of like, and then it's giving you a score, like whatever. I don't really understand. I didn't pay attention.
Okay, so your attention's bad. Your attention's bad.
Like, and focus, it's like, think about how that's crazy. A 40 point, that's like having, like, it's like having a PhD student telling a person with Downs to do their homework.
Yeah. Yeah, you might need a handicap sticker. Damn, lucky you're gonna be able to park everywhere.
If I could
40, that's low. So that means that your attention span is making your otherwise normal kind of functioning IQ go down to a 40.
Go down 40 points. Yeah.
40 points.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so that's bad news, but good news that you found out.
Yeah, but also, I mean, all these people are like, oh yeah, like now you can get Adderall. And I'm like, I don't want to start doing meth at 40. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not something I'm interested in.
Well, apparently there's an Adderall shortage anyway, so you might not be able to get it.
Yeah.
But I think, well, here's what, okay. Our other friend Benda was going through the same type of thing, right? Now, I wonder, because I was prescribed Adderall.
Oh, when?
But back in 2016.
Oh, wow.
Right after I left Second City.
Okay.
And I remember when I took Adderall, I was so focused.
Yeah.
But I never ate. And it felt crazy.
Yes.
Where I hear people with severe ADHD, when they're on Adderall, they feel normal.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So maybe it's worth a try because sure, it's basically speed,
Yes.
but maybe you can get something not so speedy, like Vyvanse or I don't know, some of the other stuff that they have. But yeah, at 41, are we 41?
We are 41.
Yeah. At 41 to find out that you had an inkling.
Yes.
You knew this was a thing.
Yeah.
But to get it in black and white, it must be like, fuck.
The score was alarming.
Yeah, I'm alarmed. I'm scared for you.
I was really alarmed. I was
but
just
this
like,
also makes so much sense in how you just are and how you how you run your life is this way.
yes. I mean, truly, it is
So,
like it's crazy.
I think it's a good thing, right? It's a bottom to really be told that you might be in a handicapped area. But this is what they're saying is that this is so severe that it is handicapping your life.
Sure.
Like you're probably feeling those things though, not being able to get to things or whatever.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I understand, but I mean, also, I'm just like always. For me, I'm like, well, that just means that I'm whatever. So it is a bottom insofar as like that score was rough, and
you were hoping for the same diagnosis but a better score.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You know what was
like you knew what was wrong, but you were like, that wrong? The fuck?
What's crazy is like the guy was like, I understand. I could also tell that you were really trying hard.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because I was like really, because it was an IQ part of it. So I was just like really, he was like, I could tell how frustrated you were because you were really trying hard. And like, because sometimes, because they're monitoring whether or not you're like fucking it up on purpose, right?
Right.
In order to do this. And he was just kind of like, yeah, no, you were really trying. And I was like, yes.
You really need this.
I was like, I'm actually devastated to find out how badly I did.
Oh my God. That's rough. Boy, but this is exciting for you because I'm really excited for you as your friend because in 2024, this might really change everything. You know what I mean? Like, it could really change things up where you're like, oh, fuck, I feel at a normal pace in my brain. But
we'll see. TBD.
Yeah! That's so exciting. Yes, being a severe loser. No. ADHD's... ADHD is like
needs. That was a crazy.
Yeah,
spot.
almost special needs. Almost. Okay? Almost doesn't count.
I mean, like I'm pretty close to not being able to make my own decisions. You know what I mean? Like
you're about to be Britney Spears.
Yes, like parental rights. Like
your son's about to be like, here's your allowance. Wow, congrats. All right, folks. Today we're going to do something really cool and special. Unjay and I have watched the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've been really just so excited to talk about this movie with you guys, with you. And so if you haven't seen Past Lives with Greta Lee, if you haven't seen it, maybe pause this and then go check out the Patreon. But right now we're going to be talking about it. And if you have seen it, let's dive in. So, okay, I got to tell you, I saw Past Lives in the theater with a Celine Song, who is the writer-director, with her talking back.
Cool.
And I didn't get to ask any questions, but I had questions for her. So I'm so glad that we're digesting this together. So first off, how fucking hot is Teo Yu? Oh my God.
I mean, okay, so there is that moment where he comes into their apartment and you know that shot that's like starts
all the way at the end.
Yes.
Where he comes into their apartment because he's visiting and
he's about to leave. So he's like, yes. So he brings her over. So they're going to spend all night. Like they're basically stay up until his flight. Right.
Yeah.
And the shot of him entering the doorway it's his silhouette, like his broad shoulders,
His
shoulders,
his back,
his tall. He's like tall. His hair, like all of it, like and he's ripped. He's jacked. Yeah.
And you know what's so crazy? You can tell he's ripped, but you never see his body in the movie.
Absolutely. That's the hottest
Isn't
thing.
that so? I don't. Oh my God! Yes,
So-
that is so hot to me that they did that. I'm like, you really like fit him with clothes that really showed him off.
I mean, it's also Korean style, right? It's like very Korean style. So that shot where it's his silhouette, his broad shoulders, and then it's a shot in focus of her husband, who is significantly shorter than him.
Yes.
Wearing like wearing a cardigan, like schlubby, right? And you watch him
cocky.
Yes, you watch him take in this guy,
this man, because even scenes before, she had described him as being so masculine and manly in a Korean way, and that was so. I remember when I heard that line, it hit for me in a way it hit no one else, you know, because you have to be Korean to understand like. 남자답다.
Yeah.
You know, like it's different than like manly masculinity, toxic, whatever. It's just like this like non-toxic masculinity that resides in like Korean men naturally. That
yes, I mean it's like it's a part of what it is to be masculine. It's distinct than what Western version of masculinity is.
Yes.
Right? It's very distinct.
It's like a soft soft, quiet masculinity.
And to me, it's also like wrist size, the way that like the wrist, like the shape and size of them also, and the way I would say this is similar in both Eastern and Western examples of masculinity, but it is the silent way they take on the burden of others.
Yes.
Right? Like it's like they will take care of this situation, and I will not ask you for anything in return, and you do not have to ask me to take on the burden, right? It's that implied part of it. But that shot where he takes him in, he's like in a cardigan, he looks schlubby. He looks nebbishy, he looks schlubby. And then once he takes in this sight of supreme Korean masculinity, you literally watch him become more schlubby.
He like crumbles. Yes.
Like such a subtle way.
He had only heard about this guy over and over from his wife that he's obsessed with, and he wants to know more about.
Yes.
Like, so yes, Tae Yoo is so fucking hot and mask and Korean, and like it was such great representation of like Korean men.
And I would say that the guy who plays her husband, also played the comedy.
John Magaro. Yes.
Played the comedy of those situations perfectly. Tonally. Like it really just was perfect, because like even that sort of way he becomes more schlubby, like it is very funny, and it's so
hilarious.
So small. Like it's
so much comedy, so many like laugh points in the movie between like the awkwardness of them all like having to hang out, and him hearing about Teo through Greta's nostalgia, and the way she like. He could tell that his wife is lit up in a way that he's never seen before, you know, and it's so like to him so intriguing that like this woman that he thinks he like knows, they have such a comfortable relationship, they have such a close like lived in relationship that's like every relationship we know that's long term, which is like at the core like friendship, right? And he sees her getting lit up by this 첫사랑, this first love, and he feels like, of course, like competitive, but he knows that there's nothing to compete with. So it's this like invisible pressure that he's feeling, that like he's like, oh, there's this part of her, there's this man out there that has this huge part of her heart that he's not in. He knows in his mind and his heart that there's no like losing her to him, right? But
it's like that. Yes, I'm
it's
sorry.
That part that he cannot access or be part of.
Exactly, he cannot access. It's because they share everything else in their lives together. All parts of their inner lives are shared. They all the rooms are open to all the inside of the house. But there is this one room that he cannot access because it is a part of her past life. Like, not only is there a language barrier, but it is simply a lived experience he cannot share because she left it behind. Like, so just to start from the beginning, I thought the stage and the set design of each era was so great. Like, even the slang of the torai, like, of that era, like I remember,
no one uses torai anymore.
No one uses torai anymore. But like just the language and of children specifically, and it was just so beautiful. Like the clothes and the backpacks, they was just like really conjured up things, very specific. And then in 2012, when they reconnect, there is she goes immigrates to Canada. And I will say that moment when she is immigrates, one, you know what I realized, Peter, that everyone's immigration story, like, her experience was so much more similar to Max's because they came over later. Her parents spoke enough English to navigate things. They changed their last name. They changed their first name and thought about it before they came. And whereas, like, there is no part of the American experience that I was not navigating for my parents. And because of our different situation, my parents didn't even think to change my name.
No. And her parents were artists.
Yes.
Her father was a filmmaker. They were, even when they like interrupted right in the beginning, when they're talking about the different names they're going to choose.
Yes.
And how the sisters were arguing about which name they wanted to be. Like that's such a like specific experience that would only come from immigration. Going to live in a different country and becoming someone new and leaving this like first love behind.
And a past life, right? Because there is that moment where when she first encounters, she's at her school for the first time and you see her with the backpack leaned up against the wall.
She's alone.
She's alone. And you see her like kind of looking at the lay of the land. It is literally the same way that he looks when he's waiting for her at the park. And he's like kind of alone. It's the same shot, and it's the same sort of like feeling of alone, and feeling left out, right? So when they decide to reconnect, I really felt like, you know, I don't know, like, did you feel this when you came out, like this like version of yourself, this like you're leaving behind, like you're making a kind of like almost a conscious choice to be like, shutting this door.
That's not who I am anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is like an experience that a lot of immigrants have too, like about like their relationship to, and you see the difference because like you know how there's some people that were came over when they were like 2 but also seemed like they were fresh off the boat, like there was like no need like, and then there are other people that like came over 3 years ago and they look and sound completely American.
Yeah, of course. It's more about why you're coming, the status behind the immigration. Like, if you're coming with money and education, you're going to assimilate faster than someone who's coming because they're like, we're poor and we have to go to find something better, you know, because that was yours and my immigration. But there's a lot of different types of immigration stories, even in the Korean experience. And her immigration story was way different than mine. But that feeling of like feeling isolated and alone around a new school is so real and so palpable. And something that Celine did in this movie that I thought was so interesting was she did a lot of slow, deliberate transitions with soundscapes. So the sound of Seoul was so different than the sound of New York and the sound of Montauk when she goes out. And, you know, so like it almost became another character, not by just like B-roll footage, but like hearing the sounds of New York City and how different that sounded from her life in Korea. You know, like it was just so like evocative. And at first when she was moving the camera so slowly and panning around cityscapes and stuff like that, I was like, why? This feels so like almost corny. Like, why are we doing this? But as she kept doing it, I was like, oh my God, like we are experiencing new space like audibly. And that was a really cool way to like texture the story as well.
I mean, the value of silence in a film, of that negative space, not only puts, like, you're experiencing the silence and the sounds in real time. There is no push. There is no next arc that we're trying to get to. There's no swell of music that we're trying to hit. There's like an emotion. They're being manipulated. Like, she's letting the situation and the space and time and moment speak to you. And she's giving you the time and space to do and get there. It is.
Yeah,
and
she is a first-time filmmaker, and she's directed TV before, but never a feature film, and this was her first. And she talked about how she made it in 2000. She wrote it in 2018, and all these people tried to make her change so many things about it, because they're like, "We love the story, but can we not have it in Korea? Can we fake it? Because of budget, can we go to Koreatown and film it here?" And she's like, no. Everything has to be like, her whole thing about being a playwright and difference about screenwriting is that on stage you can't show the antagonist of this film, which is time and space. And I thought that was so beautiful, because there's no bad guy in this film. Like, it's just the fact that they can't be together, and all this time that they are apart, that becomes the villain of the film. And to show that you have to do it in film.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Because it's neutral.
And
it's actually neutral, yeah.
And it's not, and she talked about how, like, a lot of, like, film students come up to her and say, like, oh, this was so tragic and blah, blah. But she talks about how she doesn't think it's a tragedy.
No.
Because everyone gets what they want. And I thought that was so brilliant. And it's true. Like, Teo, except for, I don't know. One part about the movie that I didn't necessarily completely buy into is after their reunion of Skype and all that, that they still, this yearning was so strong that they would want to spend this time together again after that. You know what I mean? Like, because it was still friendly.
Sure.
And there wasn't this kind of like relationship that was built. So for her to get married and, have this whole life, to look back at a life she left behind and possibly reconnected to, didn't feel like maybe strong enough for her to like cry at the end, which I love that scene. I love the scene where she's like slowly walking back to her life, and
the sound of her
feet.
Her feet hitting like the metal. Yes. Really like that.
And she's just like keeping it in until she finally collapses on her husband's arms, and he holds her while she cries into his arm. And Celine Song, the director, explained that scene about how it's a release for her, but for him, he finally gets to know his wife better. And that's all he wanted. Because the whole film, he's trying to speak Korean to her. The way they're wrapped up together in bed and they speak to each other in Korean, that really reminded me of me and Eric.
Yes.
And how like that kind of interracial relationship works.
Too. Yeah.
That's not something you and Max are trying to get into.
No, I mean, I agree that it's like there is no, that ultimately it's a love story. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a love story, and in all of its forms. Like, it's a love story of like young love. It's a love story between these two people, like when they were young, but only over like internet, like Skype.
That's yeah, exactly.
Like, and it's real and it's tangible, especially like the way that Korean people and like it's just very like emotional, right? They're revealing these things. There's just ease between the two. That's a relationship. And then it's just like all of it feels like love, and even the fact that they come back and they share this sort of like idea of like inyan and like how this destined or preordained like thread that seems to bring them back together. That is something. Like the way that
it's like your upstairs murderer. It just keeps coming back into your life. That's a type of inyan.
I mean, truly, like that's what I mean. When you talk about that pull, or like why you didn't buy it, and it's just like that is the pull, like that sort of the tragedy of middle age is that you're not allowed to. I don't know even if it's a tragedy, but the reality of it is that like there are all the moments and like your heartbreaks and all this stuff, or even small disappointments, kind of like take on this level. Like it is neither good nor bad. It simply is the inexorable like push of time will always win. And it is neither good nor bad. It simply is. And like I liked that part of it, whereas like this guy coming back, the way that they loved, and there was no regret. Right? It was.
Yeah, because you know when you see the trailer for it, or you know when you start like seeing the things for it, you're like my mind starts like completing the narrative already, and I'm going, okay, she comes back into her life. It's something. It's the one that got away basically,
Yes.
and you know maybe she has heard the drama is that she has to deal with the fact that like, do I stay? Do I go?
Right.
Do I choose him? Do I choose him?
Because he's not the one that got away.
It's not
He's,
that at all.
He's not the one who got away.
And
He's the one that from then.
Exactly. She was not trying to catch him.
He was not
and
the one
it never
meant to be.
materialized into the thing. So it was almost like fate kept presenting them to each other, and it kept not clicking into the thing that we want it to be, right?
Sure.
We as the audience wants it to be. And that's why I think the theme and the feeling of fate and inyan what's so beautiful about in the film is that like this is and they say it right at the end when he gets in the cab. He says, "I'll see you at the next one." In the next life, I'll see you at the next life, because they knew that their past lives before this one had kept bringing them together. Maybe they were together or whatever.
Exactly.
And they just didn't click this life. But that means that their next life, they're coming back together in a way to click again. And then
or maybe not.
Click
Or
again,
maybe not.
click.
Or maybe
exactly.
the Indian is
but
always
this
to just
dance,
pass each other. Yes.
Exactly.
And that's like sort of the
it's
beauty
1,000.
of it.
What do they call it? 1,000.
8,000, yeah.
8,000 lives or loves, like
Yes.
layered into the thing. And yeah, it was just so beautiful. And I hope they win for best direction, best screenplay. The acting was incredible. I hope Tae Yu and Greta. What did you think of Greta's Korean?
It was pretty good.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was perfect for that type of character who had left and
you always have problems with
hung on to it.
And that's crazy because Peter, you always have problems with people's Korean.
But you know what? I do. And she did a great job. And I saw an interview where she was like, I really worked on that because my parents were very afraid that I was going to fuck it up.
Okay, I got to go. Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate you. Leave us some comments about past lives if you'd like. And check out the Patreon. And we'll see you next year.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye.
New Year.